In Star Wars news, last night Project Luminous was officially announced. Lucasfilm to launch Star Wars The High Republic publishing campaign in 2020. New stories will explore the Star Wars galaxy set 200 years before the events of The Phantom Menace. I'll leave this link below in the description section. And your thoughts regarding Star Wars High Republic, welcome below in the comment section. Later this year, Lucasfilm will launch a new epic era of Star Wars storytelling that will explore through multiple voices in adult, young adult novels, children's books, comics from a variety of publishers including Disney, Lucasfilm Press, Del Rey, IDW Publishing, and Marvel. Star Wars The High Republic, which has previously been referred to as Project Luminous, will be set in an era when the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order are at their zenith, about 200 years before the events of Star Wars The Phantom Menace. This period on the Star Wars timeline will not overlap any of the film features or series currently planned for production, giving creators and partners a vast amount of room to tell Star Wars stories with new adventures and original characters. And the poster work, well, the poster work looks good. The artwork is nice, not bad. Some more right there. Not too shabby. So it feels like they're going to be trying to use High Republic to, I guess, soft reboot Star Wars. Well, Disney Star Wars. And they're going to be catering to adults, young adults, kids, trying to get all the Star Wars fans on board with this. We are so excited to be opening up a rich, fertile area for our authors to explore, says Lucasfilm dictator Kathleen Kennedy. We'll get to see Jedi in their prime. You know what I'd like to see? Kathleen Kennedy leave. Quote, Star Wars High Republic features the Jedi as we've always wanted to see them. True guardians of the peace and justice. There is hopeful, optimistic time when the Jedi and the Galactic Republic are at their height. But of course, into this glorious new era, something wicked comes, says Lucasfilm publisher, creative director Michael Siglane. This initiative will give readers, young adults, a new corner of the galaxy to explore the rich, meaningful stories. Plus, readers will learn what scares the Jedi. The dark side? I don't know. Just saying. This is a golden age for the Jedi, also a time of galactic expansion in the Outer Rim. So expect there to be rich tales of exploration, charting out the galaxy, meeting new cultures, and discovering what pioneer life in the Outer Rim was like. This is an incredible sandbox for our storytellers to play in, both within publishing and beyond. And we can't wait to see the great fiction they build within it, says the Lucasfilm Vice President of Franchise Content Strategy, James Waugh. As previously announced, Star Wars The High Republic enlisted top-tier fan-favorite authors Claudia Gray, Justina Ireland, Daniel Jose Alder, Cavan Scott, Charles Soule, to craft this new era of Star Wars publishing. The first books and comics are set to debut at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in August 2020 with Star Wars The High Republic Light of the Jedi, a massive interconnected story that's told across various formats by various publishers. The first wave of Star Wars High Republic titles include Into the Dark by Claudia Gray. See, it's going to be a young adult novel, so there's that. Next, this one definitely looks like it's going to be geared towards a younger audience. This feels like young adults, probably. Adults, young adults. This one, Test of Courage, definitely feels like from Justina Ireland. From the artwork alone, it feels like it's geared towards kids. So next we have this one, which also feels like it might be geared towards kids as well. Let's see, Star Wars High Republic Adventures. So that's this one. It's going to be a comic book series. So you have books and you also have comics that are going to be part of the High Republic. And then this one. This has more of an adult feel to it. Looks like some bounty hunters. It looks like a Twi'lek Zambrick maybe. Could be. I could be wrong about this one. They're both wearing masks. Obviously, they must be on a hostile planet. Probably another desert planet. Because we don't have enough of those in Star Wars. So next we have High Republic. This is the one that they're featuring the most, is Light of the Jedi. So Light of the Jedi will be by Charles Soule, adult novel. And it's going to be, this one's going to be the one that they're promoting first. I guess the headliner, geared towards adults. I guess it's going to follow these 4 Jedi. I think that's a male Twi'lek. I believe so. 2 humans, 1 Wookiee. So that'll be interesting. And there have been Wookiee Jedi in the past. In fact, there was a young Wookiee Jedi in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. By the way, Clone Wars is back. Final season. It started last week. Kind of bittersweet. Huge Clone Wars fan. And I feel like it's picked up exactly where it left off. So, once again, this article linked below in the description section. Now, a lot of people have been pointing out in various other videos throughout this little, I guess, announcement trailer. Sorry about my mouse there. I apologize. The announcement trailer, I'll also link this below in the description section. This popped up, and a lot of people have some concerns, some additional thoughts that I will share with you as well before I dive into what I think about this overall. And it has, three categories: faction, Star Wars love, Star Wars wishes. I'm guessing Star Wars wishes is things they would like to do, but probably won't end up doing with Star Wars High Republic. But fiction, this is kind of like, I guess, their foundation. Authentically lived in, surprise! Yeah, I don't know what that's about. We're going to surprise us, even though we know that the Sith are technically not supposed to be doing anything at all, just hiding in the shadows until the events of Phantom Menace. Next is diversity, and this is one a lot of people are just laughing at right now. It's Star Wars. There's countless species in the Star Wars universe, and okay, my opinion about diversity here is, okay, make the characters not just human. There you go. Problem solved. In the Star Wars universe, things are a little bit different. Humans are humans. We don't have any divisiveness amongst humans in the Star Wars universe, but there are different species, as most of you are aware of. So there you go. Just bring up more different characters from different species. So I think that solves the diversity issue right there. I don't know what their plan is with this one, but okay, an actual ending. I guess an actual ending to the High Republic, but I'm guessing they're going to try and draw this out as long as possible. Relatable characters. It's going to be sweeping epic. There's going to be humor. I mean, some of these actually feel like things that you would expect from Star Wars, novel, comics, movies, TV show. It would make sense. And it should be epic, but at the same time, it's during the height of the Republic, as well as the Jedi Order. It's a time of peace. I mean, there's probably some issues that happen throughout the galaxy. There always is, especially in the Outer Rim, where you got the Hutt cartel and various other outlaw criminal organizations in control, and life isn't so good on the Outer Rim as it is in, let's say, the the core worlds or the Mid Rim. Next is Star Wars love, not pro-war, but see, here's the thing: you have the word war in Star Wars. Now, I realize that there's always been this theme of fighting for peace, like fighting to end authoritarianism and oppression from the Galactic Empire in the original trilogy. And the idea of fighting when you have to fight. Like, the Jedi were guardians of peace, right? But they were willing to fight when necessary. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. There'll be droids. Of course there'll be droids. There has to be droids. It's the Star Wars universe. Scope. The scope better be pretty big. It's a galaxy, for crying out loud. And that's one of the things I kind of take issue with the way Star Wars has been done, is that you have this whole huge galaxy, countless planets and species, yet a lot of times, especially in the sequel trilogy, Disney trilogy, you had characters that just happen to be running into each other. It's a huge galaxy. Why do they keep running into each other? This is something that's happened before, sadly. Mythic, of course, there's going to be a lot of mythic stuff going on, because you have the lore of the Jedi, which should span further back than just 200 years. Space and lightsaber battles. Space battles, I think, will be okay. It's funny how they say not pro-war, yet it has space lightsaber battles in the same category. It's like they want their cake and they want to eat it too, but it's hilarious. So yeah, I mean, it's Star Wars. I mean, there's going to be war. There's going to be battles. And yeah, space battles will be cool. And I don't know how lightsabers are going to work, because at this point, the Jedi are the only ones that should have lightsabers. Because at this time period, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia if you go by the events of the Phantom Menace. And a millennia is longer than 200 years. Let's see, no single main character. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, as long as you have multiple, I guess a good ensemble, it can work. But you have to give each character their own pros and cons and flaws and ambitions. And you have to really flesh out these characters. You can't make them all Mary Sues. Though hopefully they've learned that lesson. Hopefully. The Force, I mean, obviously the Force has to play a key role in any Star Wars movie or TV show. Well, I mean, even in The Mandalorian, you have the Force to varying degrees. I mean, in that one, it's to a lesser extent, but it's still there. Let's see, complicated monsters. Okay. That's interesting. Why do the monsters have to be complicated? They're monsters. Next is the Star Wars wishes. High Republic. I guess they're wishing that the High Republic will be well received by Star Wars fans. Relic Hunters. I guess that has to do with like going after ancient artifacts and ancient Jedi temples. There you could throw in the Sith stuff as well, where they're looking for ancient Sith devices and holocrons and Sith temples and whatnot. See, University. I don't understand what that's about, but I guess the Jedi Temple, the Jedi Order is the university. Dinosaurs was another one that a lot of people have been laughing about because there are a few animals already in Star Wars that are obviously inspired by dinosaurs, like crate dragons and a few other creatures as well. So I get it. I like dinosaurs as well, but hopefully they don't actually look like dinosaurs. But see, next is representation, diversity. Okay, but once again, see, this is the issue. This is a galaxy far, far away, right? So what kind of representation are you talking about? Because here's the issue. Most of the time, the main characters are human, and the side characters are either a Wookiee or a droid. So if you want to go by representation, then that's my idea in Star Wars. Is you have a Wookiee, have a Twi'lek, I have various other species represented if we're going to do that, okay? Because, racism is not really an issue in Star Wars when it comes to humans in general. Yeah, there are species that don't like each other and frown upon each other, like the way the Twi'leks are treated by others. But this is the issue. This is a different universe, a different galaxy, and it should feel like a different galaxy. It's just ridiculous because there's been characters of diversity already in Star Wars, in the movies, and TV, and the comics, and the books, and the EU. Oh, I forgot. We don't want to talk about the EU anymore. Arthurian legends. Well, here's the thing. George Lucas practically based the conflict between Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader similar to Arthurian legend, the Knights of the Round Table and all that good stuff. It was kind of like a reversal, whereas King Arthur in the end had to fight his son Mordred to the death. It was very similar, where you had instead of Darth Vader being Arthur, Luke was kind of like Arthur. It was kind of a reversal. It's a video I remember watching when I was younger, and they made a good case about how there are similarities between the Arthurian legend as well as Star Wars. So I guess it would make sense to look at that as a source of inspiration for the writers for High Republic, because that's already been done with the original trilogy to various degrees. Rival houses. Okay, is this Game of Thrones? The House of Skywalker. Wait, the House of Skywalker doesn't exist yet. The House of Palpatine. The House of Amidala. The House of Gunray. The House of Greedo. The House of Hutt. Oh, that's right. It's a whole cartel of Hutts. Let's see. The Sith Empire. Okay, here's another one I have issue with. The Sith are gone. We have the rule of two established, where they're not technically gone, but they're hidden. Okay? Hidden. The Sith Empire existed thousands of years prior to the events of the prequels in the Old Republic era, which I guess is now being wiped away by the quote-unquote High Republic. So this is kind of sort of breaking canon right here, and I know it's in the wishes category, so it probably isn't going to be a thing. Or maybe they're going to talk about the Sith Empire, right? Maybe that'll be part of the relic hunting, that they'll go in the past and they'll be finding remnants of the ancient Sith Empire that once fought the Republic and the Jedi-Sith Wars. But if the Sith Empire actually exists in the High Republic era 200 years, not a millennia, prior to Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, then that's canon breaking. I'm just saying. So good thing that's in the wishes category. So I guess from that point of view, they could theoretically include the quote-unquote Sith Empire, but it would be like this ancient empire, like the ancient Roman Empire, the ancient Egyptian Empire, Babylonian, Sumerian. You get the idea. Chaos agents. Okay, so I mean, it's possible that even though you have only like technically 2 Sith would exist, a master and apprentice, hiding in the shadows, they could still be sending out, little agents and provocateurs into the galaxy to cause trouble behind the scenes while they just lurk in the shadows, patiently waiting for their time to come to rise up and destroy the Jedi once and for all. So even though you have a master and apprentice hiding in the shadows somewhere, they could still cause trouble for the Jedi Order and the High Republic. But the issue here is the Jedi and the Republic must never know that they're actually out there. They know that some weird stuff's going on, that there's problems occurring, that these strange things are happening in the galaxy here and there, but they can never tie it back to any Sith, because the Sith are not revealed once again until, that's right, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. You know, when Darth Maul tells Darth Sidious, "At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge." Yeah. And finally, Splinter Group Force users. Now, this is an interesting idea because a lot of people have discussed the notion of the Jedi being too puritanical. And this is something I actually agree with. I feel like the problem with the Jedi is they focus too strongly on the light side of the Force. And they didn't allow this gray area to exist. And that's one thing that's always fascinated me, the gray area, being a gray Jedi. And so you could see different types of Jedi. You could see, official Jedi, light side Jedi that are Puritans that exist only with the light side of the Force. And then you have gray Jedi that, sometimes are like, well, I think that there needs to be a balance between the light and the dark side because, we're flawed creatures in this galaxy. And we're not all good and we're not all bad. We try to do good, but sometimes we do bad things. And maybe the better way to remain on the side of the light overall is to understand the dark side, the darker nature, and not ignore it. So that'd be kind of cool if they had like gray Jedi. And they've had it before in the EU, which once again was made into Legends. Thank you, Disney, Star Wars. Very cool. And then you could also have the Dark Jedi. Now, before we had an official name for the Sith, Darth Vader, the Emperor later on, in the prequels, Darth Maul, Count Dooku, etc., we had no idea what they were called, back during the days of the original trilogy. Even though George Lucas already had the name for the rival faction of the Jedi, the Sith, we didn't really find that out officially until, I believe, Episode 1. But prior to that, they were called Dark Jedi. There was the idea that there was a faction known as Dark Jedi. They were fallen Jedi who had turned to the dark side. They weren't Sith, but they were Dark Force users. And maybe they still had a little bit of the light in them, but they were more aligned with the Sith than they were with the Jedi. And they could be their own separate faction. So it would be kind of cool if in the High Republic era we have, like the official Jedi Order, then other groups like the Gray Jedis, and then maybe the ones that are causing trouble is quote-unquote Dark Jedis, fallen Jedis. Perhaps the Dark Jedis are nothing more than puppets of the Sith, right? And the Sith is trying to destroy the Jedi Order from within, and they do things in order to tempt certain Jedi to the dark side, without truly revealing themselves to be Sith, of course. They have to always remain in the shadow, but I could see a few Jedi here and there in the Republic during the High Republic era and the Jedi Order falling to the dark side. That is nothing new. And also, I hope we see a 200-year younger Yoda. I think he would be, 700 years young? Pretty young fella right there. So we would probably have Jedi Master Yoda. He would have to exist in the High Republic era, because he's been the Jedi Master for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. and having Yoda there, maybe even Yaddle, because they're the same species as the child, aka Baby Yoda. Hopefully in season 2, we'll officially learn more about quote-unquote Baby Yoda. I just don't like calling him Baby Yoda because I feel like it's a separate, kid. He's not a clone of Yoda. He might be the love child of Yada and Yoda. Yoda. Or, he might be the love child of those two. Probably not. But anyways, Yoda has to exist, I think. And there might be other species that are within the Jedi Council that we saw during the prequel era that might have a longer lifespan, and we may actually see some of them as well. I mean, we don't really know everyone's lifespan when it depends on these specific species. Like, for example, Wookiees have pretty long lifespans. And I'm willing to bet that there's a few others within the Jedi Council and the Jedi itself that probably can live way longer than, say, the average human or other humanoid species that exist within the Star Wars galaxy. So I hope there are a few familiar faces within the Jedi Council. At the very least, Yoda and probably Yaddle should be there. Maybe a few others as well. But you also want some different faces, too. And it'll be interesting to see what a 200-year younger Yoda would be like. How different would he be from the Yoda we come across in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace? Because that Yoda is completely different. Well, there's similarities between Yoda in Episode 1 as opposed to Yoda when we meet him again on Dagobah in The Empire Strikes Back. So hopefully a few familiar characters like Yoda, maybe Yaddle if she's part of the Jedi Council by then, or maybe she's just a Jedi Knight at this point. I think she is younger than Yoda. But overall, I mean, I hope that the writing teams behind Star Wars High Republic are actual passionate Star Wars fans and actually care about this universe, the material, as much as the Star Wars fans do, because it really feels like that the fans have been screwed over with specifically the sequel trilogy. And if you want to know how I think about the sequel trilogy, I did a Star Wars sequel trilogy is garbage video a few months ago. Feel free and check it out. It's on this channel. But I hope that they're going to start righting the wrongs of the past. I hope they're learning from their mistakes. The big mistake is keeping Kathleen Kennedy in the chair. They need to retire her. She needs to leave. I think her power is waning because I don't think she has any control over The Mandalorian. I think that's Favreau and Filoni, and I think Deborah Chow. But too many balls have been dropped under Kathleen Kennedy. Too many mistakes have been made. And it's time for her to go. And I realize she's probably under contract. And Bob Iger is just simply just waiting for her contract to run out before she just quote-unquote retires and is able to walk off in the sunset or the twin sunsets of Tatooine into the desert, trip and fall into a Sarlacc pit for all I care. But anyways, I don't know. I want High Republic to be decent. I hope it is. There'll probably be some good stuff that comes out. There'll probably be some bad stuff. It's good, I guess, that they're appealing to different groups like adults, young adults, kids. And I don't know. I don't like the fact, personally, that it feels like a Old Republic 2.0 or a soft reboot of the Old Republic, whereas the Old Republic was set thousands of years ago, during the Republic Sith Wars. And maybe that's where they should have put this instead and brought back Dark Revan, Dark Malak, Dark Malgus, Bastila, all that good stuff. The Starforge. I really do want a remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I know BioShock's been having issues with Anthem, but, an up-to-date, faithful remake of Knights of the Old Republic would be awesome, and I would like for that to be canon. It's far enough back, Knights of the Old Republic, and of course Star Wars The Old Republic, which is still quite popular, that they could still have that as canon. I really wish Disney Star Wars would do that. Just make Old Republic canon. It's thousands of years past, all this, behind it. Even prior to the High Republic era, it's still thousands of years in the past. Just let us have that. Okay? You've trashed, post Return of the Jedi Star Wars EU with the sequel trilogy. At the very least, let us have prequels with Old Republic. Just Recanonize all that good stuff, please. And maybe they will. I mean, some of this, like the ancient relics, the Sith Empire, we could see some of that stuff brought back into canon. And they've done that before. I mean, they made Thrawn canon once again. They've done a few other things too. They brought the Emperor back to life, which was done a lot better in the Dark Empire trilogy. But anyways, I really think that was a bad idea. They should have just did something else with episode 9. But this is not episode 9 we're talking about. I've yet to watch it. Maybe when it ends up on Disney Plus, I will. But yeah, so High Republic, still too early to tell. Like I said, it could work out. It could bring Star Wars fans back if they get the right writers, especially writers that have a history of making good quality Star Wars content in the past. Then there's hope. There's always hope, I guess. Rebellions are built on hope. But my big concern is the fact that we still have Kathleen Kennedy at the top. And it's time for her to go. It's time for someone else to take over. Whether it's Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, somebody else, as long as they're a true, bona fide Star Wars fan. I hear Kevin Feige is actually a huge Star Wars fan. And he's done great work with the MCU. Maybe it's time for him to move over from MCU to Lucasfilm. I'm okay with that. But a lot of this also feels like they're trying to do that. They're trying to make this similar to the MCU, where it all tries to connect together. And I hope that it works out for them. I hope they have some list of things that happen and keep it all quote unquote canon. But unfortunately, as we can see with the sequel trilogy, they're not very good at keeping things in canon, especially since it was pretty obvious that the Emperor was killed at the end of Return of the Jedi. He was killed, JJ. I'm sorry. I know it was not your intention to come back and do episode 9, JJ. I know. And I realize that Force Awakens was a soft reboot. And I had hopes even after Force Awakens, which I thought was decent, that the other two movies would be great. But they weren't. And that's what we're stuck with. At least we got the Mandalorian. I love the first season of Mandalorian. I'm glad we got Clone Wars back for a final season every Friday. Looking forward to that. It's the reason why I still have Disney Plus. And hopefully it will end everything on a high note. I have faith in it because it's involved with Dave Filoni. And I have faith in him. I do not have faith in Rian Johnson or JJ or Kathleen Kennedy. In Favreau and Filoni, I trust. But we'll see how High Republic goes. I do feel like, once again, it's going to be nothing more than Old Republic 2 Electric Boogaloo or Force Boogaloo. It could be done right. It could be done wrong. I just hope they take a lot of things into consideration and make sure that it actually feels like it works prior to the events of the movies, the prequels, the original trilogies, fuck the sequels, and, of course, the Clone Wars TV series, as well as Rebels TV series, Mandalorian as well. And maybe, just maybe, we'll also see the Old Republic be recanonized. That would be awesome. And maybe they'll do it with High Republic. Because, like I said, they're going to have relic hunting. They're going to be going into Sith Empire stuff. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the Sith Empire will exist in the High Republic. It better not, because it's only 200 years prior to Episode 1, which makes no damn sense. But this is Star Wars, Disney we're talking about. So maybe in a way, High Republic will also start bringing things back over from the Old Republic era. And that would actually be kind of cool. Okay, so just as I finished recording the rest of the video, breaking news, Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, has stepped down effective immediately. I guess I'll link this below in the description section as well. Interesting that it's the day after Project Luminous, Star Wars High Republic, was officially announced. So Bob Iger will step down as Disney CEO and assume the role of executive chairman. Disney announced today Bob Chapek, who will most recently served as chairman of Disney's parks, experiences, and products, will assume the role of CEO effective immediately, Disney announced. Shares of Disney fell about 2.5% after hours. Iger will remain as executive chairman of Disney through the end of 2021. According to the company, Iger has been instrumental in making Disney a significant player in the streaming space with the launch of Disney+. The streaming service said it had 26.5 million paying subscribers, including me, for now until the end of Clone Wars. During the first quarter of 2020, after launching in November, quote, with the successful launch of Disney's direct-to-consumer business and the integration of 21st Century Fox well underway, I believe this is the optimal time to transition to a new CEO, Iger said in a statement. Bob, could you have you just waited till Kathleen was gone? You know, Bob, I'm just saying, kick her out first, get, Favreau or Filoni or Feige in charge of Lucasfilm, then step down. I'm just saying your work wasn't done, Bob. Come on, Bob. But anyways, I don't know the real reason why he did this. I mean, it really doesn't make sense. His contract wasn't over. I guess they just want to have a transitional period between the end of Bob's reign and the beginning of Chapnick's or however you pronounce his name. I'm guessing it was some sort of negotiation deal, like they wanted to keep him around, and maybe he had an offer to go somewhere else, and they're like, you know what, we want you as our CEO going forward, and in order to keep him, Bob Iger said, you know what, I'm ready to step back, chill, give you the reins, hold your hand while you assume the role of CEO, and Bob Iger becomes the executive chairman. So there's I guess a nice transition period from Iger to Chapek. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Please don't send Mickey Mouse after me. But yeah, quite interesting development. I decided just to tack it on at the end of my High Republic video, and how that will affect Disney going forward will be quite interesting. I don't really think that it'll be too much of a change, especially with the streaming wars being the main focus right now for the entertainment industry. Disney Plus versus Netflix, HBO Max going online, and all that good stuff. But going forward, it will be interesting. It will be fascinating. But I would have liked to have seen Kathleen Kennedy out the door before Bob Iger did this, just to make sure, that everything was made officially right at Lucasfilm, and that, hopefully someone more qualified and better was in charge before you decide to step down, Bob, for the other Bob. It's the Bobs. But anyways, yes, Bob Iger officially steps down as Disney CEO, effective immediately today. And how that affects Star Wars and the MCU and the rest of Disney going forward remains to be seen. Anyways, once again, your thoughts about Star Wars The High Republic and our Bob Iger stepping down, welcome below in the comments section.